Imagine owning a piece of land that you rely on to feed your family. Now, imagine a foreign power arrives and forces you to use your best soil to grow a crop you can't eat, one you're not even allowed to sell for a fair profit. This happened in 1917 in a district called Champaran. Under a system known as Team Kathia, poor farmers were legally required to plant indigo on 3 specific sections of every 20 they owned. The work was grueling. As you can see here, laborers spent their days standing waist-deep in industrial soaking pits to process the plants into dye. Despite the physical toll, the system was designed so the farmers stayed in debt, receiving almost no payment for their labor. If the farmers wanted to complain, they had nowhere to go. The British planters held total control over the local courts and the police, backed by the kind of organized military force shown in this photograph. The farmers felt a deep, constant anger, but they also felt completely helpless. They didn't have the weapons or the training to fight a war, so they suffered in silence. The district of Champaran became a snapshot of how colonialism actually functioned. It was a system where one side held all the power, and the other side had no traditional way to fight back. That changed when Mahatma Gandhi arrived. He was a lawyer who had spent years practicing a new kind of resistance in South Africa, and he came to Champaran to see the farmers' conditions for himself. The British authorities didn't want him there. They quickly served him with an official legal notice, ordering him to leave the district immediately or face the consequences. Gandhi's response was unexpected. He didn't leave, but he didn't attack anyone either. He simply told the judge that his conscience wouldn't let him abandon the farmers, and that he would stay and accept whatever punishment they gave him. This wasn't a sign of weakness. By inviting the government to throw him in jail, he was making a move that the authorities had no way to counter. The British Empire relied on the fear of prison to keep people in line, but when Gandhi showed he wasn't afraid of their cells, he took away their ability to control him. Gandhi called the strategy Satyagraha. By splitting the word, we see the 2 ideas he combined. Satya is the undeniable truth, the documented facts of the farmer's suffering. Agraha is holding on to that truth with total firmness, an absolute refusal to accept a lie. In Champaran, this pressure eventually forced the government to blink. Faced with a man who wouldn't leave and wouldn't fight, they were forced to set up a formal inquiry, which ultimately ended the Team Kathia system and returned the farmers' money. Satyagraha proved you could combat a system of power without ever using a weapon. You simply had to be more stubborn than the person trying to move you. News of the victory in Champaran traveled quickly across India. At the time, the independence movement was stuck between people who wanted to work within the British system and radicals who wanted to use violence. Gandhi's success offered a middle path that anyone could follow. When the British passed the Rowlatt Act in 1919, which allowed them to jail people without a trial, millions of people used this same method to stop the country's machinery through strikes and protests. Even after the horrific massacre at Jallianwala Bagh, where troops killed hundreds of peaceful protesters, Gandhi insisted that the only way to win was to keep holding on to the truth without mirroring the empire's violence. By 1942, this had grown into the Quit India movement, the largest challenge to British rule in history. Gandhi's slogan for the movement was "Do or die," but he clarified that this didn't mean killing the enemy. It meant that Indians would win their freedom, or they would die peacefully while refusing to live as slaves. Look at these crowds. These aren't soldiers. They are ordinary people who simply stopped participating in the systems that oppressed them. They stopped paying the taxes, stopped working the government jobs, and stopped obeying the orders. Eventually, the British realized that ruling India was no longer profitable if the people themselves refused to cooperate. Satyagraha showed the world that an empire's power actually comes from the people it rules, and that power disappears the moment those people decide to stand their ground.